Everybody, welcome to Lisa's Art Room. Tonight we're going to be starting our Halloween vignette. So we're going to get started on that in just a minute. We're live on Facebook. If you see the little red button at the top left, if not, it's replay. I'm going to get you guys pulled up on my other device. Hey Nancy. Hey Dawn, thanks for letting me know the volume's good. I appreciate it. I did have a good birthday. It was kind of quiet on my actual birthday. I didn't really do anything. Well, I crafted all day. But we went to that Alice thing for my birthday gift, per se. Because it wasn't cheap. Those things never are. But that was my gift. And then I actually got another gift. Hubby got me later. He got me yesterday. He got me, or was it yesterday? I don't even know what day it is. Saturday. He got me another 3D folder. And those Tim Holtz embossing folders. It's so cool. So, look at that. Look at all that detail. So I'm going to be playing with that. And some maple candy. I love maple candy. It's like in little maple leaves that are like basically just crystallized maple. But he got me a box of that, so I did get some other things too. Exactly. Crafting all day is what I love, right? So I did. I worked really hard on the getting the second journal caught up to the first journal because I'm trying to do two. So I did that, and then a lot of planning for this, but mostly I've made little things, you know. But I got, whoops, okay. I said trying to reconnect. I think you guys are still here. All right, so I got it up to this point. So this is our cover on the second journal. I'll talk about how I did things when we come on Wednesday. Isn't it cool? I like it. I might do it black and white. So far it's all black and white, so I'm like, I do have that black and white paper. So I might do that. All right, guys, I've got a few people on here. We've got a lot to do, so let's pull this camera up and get started. Oh, I need something to look at. Let's see, what can I tell is the right direction? Like I can't tell if I'm backwards or not backwards or upside down or where'd it go? Oh. All right, I totally flipped the camera again. Hold on. There it is. Okay. No, I'm still backwards. Why am I still backwards? Am I upside down? No, I'm just backwards. Hold on. I'll get it right. There we go. Okay. Too many buttons to hit. All right, that looks good. Okay, so lots to do. Oh my goodness. I love doing vignettes, but they are a lot of prep work. It's just figuring out everything, honestly, and what you're going to do. So for this one, this is a Dollar Tree box. Now this happens to be one of the older ones, so it is a little bit bigger than what you can find now because, you know, they decided to cut corners and make them smaller. So I'm going to be using that, and I'm going to use one of these. So these are from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use the biggest one. They come in these 3 sizes. If you wanted to do one of these and do a smaller version, you could, but I'm going to do the biggest one. So it's going to be a little different. I'm doing a Book Nook style vignette this year for Halloween. It's going to be I think I'm just going to call it Halloween Book Nook style because it's got apothecary stuff, but it also has like graveyard stuff. So I don't know that I want to call it apothecary. But there's lots of things you can use. Tim Holtz has all kinds of size vignettes. His look like this. Dollar Tree has all kinds of boxes. This is their new size. Look at that. It's literally like one size smaller. But I had 2 of the old size left, so I'm going to use that while I have it. So we're using this as a base. I'm actually not going to use these. I was going to, but I decided to go with a book Nook thing, so I'm not going to use them this time. I'll use them sooner or later. They didn't cost me hardly anything. They were on clearance for like, I don't know, $3 or something. And I'm using, so I made like a bookshelf out of one of these, but the one I had was hollow in between the slats. They sell both kinds. They sell them at Dollar Tree where they're solid like this, and it's like a fake hollow part. And then they sell them where they're completely hollow. I had one that was completely hollow. I didn't get back to Dollar Tree to buy a second one to show you, so I'm just going to tell you. But I cut it down. So I basically took a saw and I sawed right through it, and I made basically a little bookshelf. And then this piece I made a little nook. So I'll show you what I did with that. Put a little book there. This has little ends pieces that I just cut out of, did I glue those in? I don't think I did. I think they're just pressure fit. A little piece of foam board, and I just cut them to exactly the size. Just to plug that hole, and I'm going to cover it with paper or whatever I decide to cover it with. But I don't like the holes in there. So if you don't have like a Tim Holtz Vignette box or something you can use, and you're using one of the Dollar Trees and it has the ends, that's how I get around that. So that's my base. So what I did, I had this. This is from, gosh, what was this? This is from those little wood pieces that you get. I have a box of them. I'll show you in a second. And then I have this Dollar Tree hutch. It's in the dollhouse furniture and the kids' toys. They come and go. Sometimes I see them, sometimes I don't. It's just a little, like, I don't know, end table, side table. I guess a side table is what you'd call it. But I had that, and it fits in my box, so I'm going to use this and not make one. You could make one if you wanted. Just get little pegs of some sort. It could be dowels, it could be square. Pieces of craft wood, which both Michael's and Hobby Lobby sells just plain wood. And you just glue it together with wood glue. It's not really super difficult, but you know. But I had this. This is what I made out of one of these. And basically it's the end that I cut. Okay. So it's this section that I cut, and then this section glued in here. So it's a little hutch. So these are my pieces I'm going to be using. I'll show you that in a second, because you may even have one. But final ones, it's really hard to cut through this wood. I thought it would be super easy and I could do it with a knife. I ended up using my hacksaw. I've got one of those miter saw, plastic miter saw boxes with a hacksaw, little flat hacksaw, and I just sawed it. And it wasn't too bad sawing it. Holding it in the box was a little tricky, but you know, maybe if you can't do it, find a buddy who can. But you might get lucky and find a bookshelf or something like this and not need to. This is the bottom piece of this, basically. My size, you can tell my size was a little bit different, but it's the bottom piece. After I cut all the pieces out, these are what's left. So I basically got a bookshelf out of it and a hutch out of this one piece. So I'm not using this bookshelf today. I'll probably use it at another time, but that's where that came from. I don't think I need any of these other pieces. I might use this little sign that came in those Tim Holtz, what do they call them? They're die cuts, but I can't remember. There's a name for them. Are they baseboards? Is it baseboards? I think it might be that. I am going to be using some foam core. This is just black foam board. I've got pictures picked out, but I think these are the two I'm going to use. I don't think I'm going to use this one. And I'll probably use the Tim Holtz drops, his backdrops, the Halloween set. I've got some moons I might pick from. These are ones I made last year. I'm sure that it's on the vignette from last year as far as how I did it, but where that is, I don't know. So I have 2 pieces of these. These are sides, and we'll get into explaining all this stuff. I'm just giving you a rundown right now. I got one more, which is a top panel. And then, of course, all of our little goodies, like miniature books and candles and pictures and things we're making. Baubles, cauldrons, all that stuff. Which I'm not sure. I haven't decided if I'm going to use a cauldron on this one or if I'm going to use this little kitty cat jack-o'-lantern and use it like kind of like a cauldron. I'm not sure. I might do this one. I might do both. I don't know. We're going to use something. This is a lantern from the Christmas section, I think Hobby Lobby. I've drilled it out. I'll show you how I did that. Let me see if I can find the lantern box because I know I have it somewhere. So you're just gonna have to bear with me. This first part is a lot of showing you stuff and what I'm gonna be using. And we'll get into grunging it up and stuff. This box has bones, gravestones, various skulls from Tim Holtz. So we'll be using some of those. Some of these are Dollar Tree, and these are Dollar Tree. And what else? I may or may not use one of these skeletons from Dollar Tree. I've kind of chopped them all up, but I think I have a whole one left somewhere. Maybe. Maybe I do. Or maybe I'll have to piece one back together. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it or not. I might use it. And then I got a whole box of potion bottles we're going to play with. Some are decorated, some I haven't got to. And I think that is it for that. So let me show you this and show you the lantern. There's 2 things I forgot to grab, so let me do that real quick. I know where they are, I just got to grab them. Crowded in here. Alright, so the wood box, this is from, let's see if I have it too. Maybe I cut it. I don't know if I cut it. I might have cut it. It's from one of these. Okay, and I think I cut it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just cut it there. It's very thin. I cut it with one of the X-Acto blades. But it's from one of these. But it works real well as like a touch or something. They also come in that shape. Depends on what you're getting. Hobby Lobby. Some of these are from Michael's. No, some of these are from Dollar Tree. That's what it was. Maybe these. I'm going to lose all my pieces. I have plastic on them, but it doesn't stay very well. Because I don't like the box lid that they come with. So I made like an acetate lid. Where's that one? Which kind of works, but it doesn't stay flush very well. Alright, so that's where that came from. Just so you know, in case you decide to try to find one. That's where I got it. So, drilling that, let's see. Okay. So, like I said, I just cut that. It hasn't been grunged up or painted yet. You can see it's glued right there. kind of rough looking, it'll work. These, I know I have like a tutorial on this somewhere, but basically I just cut circles on either cream cardstock or white cardstock, and then I just dab some paint on them to make up moons. But it wasn't too hard. These are actually Christmas lanterns. The last year I had one of Tim Holtz's lantern, and it's cool, but you know, they are more pricey. But I didn't have one. I'm pretty sure they discontinued it. But sometimes you can get lucky and find them on Amazon or something. But they come in black too. I just did this red one to try it out because I wasn't sure if I was going to break it. But I might use a black one actually. I wanted to be able to put a light in it. And it doesn't have that capability like it is. So that's what I did. I'll show you how I did it. But yeah, they're from Hobby Lobby from the Christmas section. Get this stuff when it's 50% off. It's a lot cheaper. But it had 5 in it, 6 in it. What's it say? Does it say? It doesn't say. I feel like it had 6 maybe. I don't know. It doesn't say. But we'll use the black one so I can show you. It wasn't super difficult. Maybe a little hard to do on camera. I'm going to put my mic back on. Sitting here with the dragging around, making noise probably. Sorry. All right. I didn't want to do a lot of drilling on camera because it gets very noisy and it moves my table a lot. So, but I do want to kind of give you an idea of how I did this, and I kind of want to do this one because I can grunge this up and make it fine and paint it, but it'll make my life easier if I start with black. So I'm going to try to do that. I'll save this one for maybe a Christmas vignette or something. Where's the lid? That's what I was looking for. A lid. Oh my gosh, it's so dusty. It was hiding under my cabinet. Dust everywhere. So this is a little vise that I got from Amazon. It gets stuck. It opens all the way, but for whatever reason, it always sticks about halfway. There it goes. But you can put things in there to hold while you drill because it makes it safer. And then just some sort of hand drill. It's not super hard to drill. You just have to be cautious and careful. We'll say that because it's plastic, and it's a very fragile, cheap plastic. This part spins around. I don't know why, but it does. It has a little light in there. Let's see if you can see it. Here. It has like a little fake light in there. It doesn't do anything, but then the bottom is closed. And so I wanted to open it up so I could get to that light. And I wasn't 100% sure I could do it, but it did seem to work. So we're going to try. I can't zoom in because my drill is going to be way up here. So, but I'll show you after. So we need a drill bit. Let's see if I can remember what size I used. Where did I stick that red one? Tell by pulling it out. I think. Let's see. No. Must have used maybe this one. Nope. It's bigger than I think it is. I made sure it was big enough to hold the little mini lights. Too big. All right, so it was definitely this one. So this is, what is it? 10/64. That set of drill bits was given to me. Don't ask me where it's from. I have no clue. But you can find little sets like that all over the place. So use my little vise. Just find a place where it kind of sits in there fairly well. And then clamp it down not so tight that you're going to break it. That's kind of the trick. It needs to be tight enough it's not moving, but it needs to be not so tight that it's going to break. Because it is just plastic. So I try to get it snug. In there. All right, so we're just going to drill that hole, and I'm going to try to do it and not make a mess. So the trick is just finding out where the middle is. I just guessed. I got pretty lucky about it, but it's not super hard. It's got a little slot there, so when you first start, you want to go slow so you don't crack it. I mean, if it cracked, it really wouldn't be the end of the world because it's not going to be shown, but try not to. So go slow. Very, very, very slow. And don't push. There's totally a hair on there. You're letting the drill do the work, not you. You want the drill to make the hole. And go slow. You can stop and kind of see where you're doing. If it's looking like it's in the middle, it's going to make a mess. It looks pretty close to the middle. I think we're good. The trick is not to push and kind of let the... This is just a normal bit. Not anything fancy. Almost there. It's close. Trying not to get plastic everywhere. Oop, there it went. It'll probably spin when it hits that point. So then you just kind of look through and see if you're where you think you should be. And I think it is. Because I'm going to come up through that. There's like a little plastic base to that light. I'm trying to come into that area. So that's kind of the goal. You can hold it too at this point. Because now you've got a hole started. I'm just trying to kind of see if it's going in the right spot. Hopefully. I'm not going super fast. I'm taking my time. If you're real worried, you can use a smaller bit. Try and see if I can see that hole. I think it's right. Came out of that holder, so I'm going to try to... Well, I'd rather hold it because then I can see where the drill pit's coming out at this point. But start definitely with it in something because it's too hard to hold and start and you don't want to slip and cut yourself. If you're going real slow, you probably wouldn't hurt yourself very bad, but just try to make sure you're straight. I think I am. I'm trying not to go too far. I don't want to crack it. Alright, it's not really moving, which tells me I need a smaller bit. Because it's kind of got to get started in that little groove. Where'd my bits go? There they are. So I'm going to jump down to one that's maybe half. Throw that one in there. See if I can get into that little light. The thing is, I just want a tiny lot to be able to kind of peek in there. That's the goal. Yeah, there. All right, I think that's good. So let me grab a light so I can show you if it's working. Where are my lights? They're here somewhere. There they are. So I buy these online. There's a link in my favorites. What are you doing over there? We'll use a white one because I can see it best. They can be cut So you don't have to use this whole strand, but usually I try to strand it through other, put it through other things and use most of the strand. But you can cut them anywhere farther out from the battery. You cut the furthest part out and you get closer, because as long as it's still attached to this main wire, it will work. So I could have just this one light if I wanted, as long as I am still attached here. So let's see. I'm trying to see if I got in that hole or not. Nope. This is the right one. Okay. Let me drill a little bit more. It's still not showing. But my red one is. I'll show you with my red one. See? And maybe the red's not as dark, so it shows easier, but it shows very well. You see that? So once you get up in there, it will totally light it up like a little lantern. Okay? The trick is just doing it and not breaking it. Try not to break it. It's a little tricky, but I don't know. To me, it's worth it because I had these, and I'll have to go buy the Tim Holtz ones or try to find something else. Come on. Oops, heard a crack. What cracked? Let's see if I can tell. I don't know. It's not obvious, whatever it was. Well, it's definitely showing now, so let's see. Where's my light? But I thought it would be cool for it to actually light up, so yeah, there. Now the light goes up in there. And you can't go too far because that top part's a little bit narrower than the base, but you can pretty much go through the base of these and get fairly close. Gotta go slow. I'm trying to find the hole. No, feels wrong. All right, I think that's pretty good. I think it's enough. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now we're all the way up in there. Okay? Hard. I mean, it seems hard, but it's really not. It's not that bad. Turn off my little tiny lights. Tim Holtz tiny lights would work just the same. They're almost identical to these. I won't lie, these are cheaper. I get 6 of them for $7.99, I think. Something like that. It's not super expensive. Plastic off of my bits. Toilet paper towel. Alright, let me clean up my mess. At least some. Okay. And where'd my box go? There it is. These back in here. So that's how I did my little lantern. And lanterns are a fun addition. Okay. And we'll grunge that up and everything so it looks nicely aged. Off. And I'm not keeping this a silly string on there yet. We don't want the silly string. If I add a string, it's not going to be this string. I may add something to hook it on, but like a wire or something, but not this. I'm trying to find my scissors. There they are. So I don't want the pretty gold string. So that's my little lantern. All right. So step one is to kind of figure out your layout. So I have a plan. Hopefully my plan will work. This is Halloween Book Nook Vignette. That's what we're calling it, I think. Deborah. Hey, Angela. I don't think I saw you come on. All right. So, we got this. So, for inside this box, we're going to have backdrops and things. We're going to have this dresser looking thing and this book nook hutch thing. Okay, so that's what's going to go in there. And then on this wall, we're going to have this, and it's going to have potion bottles. Okay, and it's going to be glued, and it has to be glued in a way that the door still shuts and everything, so it should clear. It seems to clear just fine. So that's the basic layout of inside the box. And the box is going on the stand. Okay, so I've got my stand, and it's going on one side with the opening toward the outside. Okay, so the opening will be this way. I can't get all that stuff in there. Let's pull it out. Opening goes that way. And then on this side, let's see how I can show this. I think I can do it this way. Nope, it's not Wednesday. I had to add another day, Deborah. I can't get everything done. I've got too much to get done, so I had to add a day. So I added today because I was free and could do it. So that's what's going on. I am going to work on the journal on Wednesday and Friday, and then I will work on the vignette on Monday. That's the plan. It may change, but that's my plan so far. So on this side of the book, which will be this part of the scene. All right, are y'all back? It said try and reconnect again. I think we're okay. All right, so on this part of the scene, that's why I'm calling it a book nook, because when it's on a shelf, it'll look like that. Okay, and then on here, I'm going to have a sky of some sort, probably with one of these moons. I don't know which one. We'll just throw one on there for reference. And then this castle, or this mansion, is one of the Tim Holtz things from his ephemera pack. I'm going to cut it out, put that there. But I wanted to be able to add lights. So what I'm going to do so that I can add lights is I'm basically going to build this wall out. Okay, so that's what this foam is for. And this foam is going to build a little tiny box that the white lights can come up through to go into here. Yeah, because I don't want it to interfere with the stuff I'm putting on there for the scene. So I'm going to have like a little cubby inside there. And the light strings will go through there and they'll go into this. All of the switches will be underneath. And then this will have its two sides. Can't remember if it was this way or... I'm trying to do it and hold it, and it's not really working very well, but you get the idea. So it will be something like this with me holding it with 6 different hands. It'll be like that, and then it will have a top on it. Okay? And then that is what this stuff will go on. Okay? So it's just going to be like a little hidden box to add lights in. That's the whole purpose of that. And then that still gives me enough landscape here to put a graveyard scene. So this area will be grunged up, kind of similar to last year's a little bit. Haven't decided on a person on the outside. I'm kind of thinking about a little boy because I think that would be cool. So I've got this, and then I've got that. Where's that fence at? I can find where I put everything. Fence, where are you hiding? Are you in this box? It's in one of my boxes here. Too many boxes. I need to label everything. I've got one of those gateway things. Here, I'll just grab some of the stuff out. So we're going to have tombstones. We're going to have probably like a skull stack of some sort. I'm just giving you an idea what's going to be. And maybe some candles floating around. I know I'm out of screen, sorry. Where is my... I'm going to find it. It's here somewhere. No, not there, not there, not there. I saw it before I started, so I know it's here. All right. Gothic archway, where are you hiding? You're not there. Not there. I have way too much stuff, guys. And not enough places to stick it. I know it's in, I'm pretty sure it's in a plastic box, so I'm 90% sure it's in one of the plastic boxes. We'll say 90 because I'm not 100. Somewhere I have one of those wrought iron archways. Where did you put it? Oh my goodness. It has to be in one of these. I don't know if maybe I just am not seeing it. No. It's not there. I don't think it's in this one. Is it? Nope. Not in that one. Okay. It's fairly large, so it can't hide too well. Oh, I think I found it. It's in with the skulls. There it is. All right. These guys. So this comes in a set with a little lock and I think a chain. But I think I just want that part of it. I might have even already used the lock. It's very possible. It's possible I already used it. Let me see. Maybe I used it, maybe I didn't. But to show you, we're just going to use this box for now. So I think I wanted the darker on the bottom, lighter on the top. Pretend we have a castle that's cut out. Pretend we have some sort of a moon up there, maybe some bats flying. I'm not sure if I want to do cream or if I want to do black and white. I'm not sure. I like both. Maybe black and white. That vignette, this thing, comes with, it's not that set. It's not that set. It's not that one. Although it probably had possibly one of these plaques in it. Because I feel like maybe one of these was in it. I'm not sure. I think I stuck it in here. I guess I didn't save the label. No. But there was a lock. I don't know if I still have it. I might not. And it might be in here and it might be somewhere else. Because I have lots of these little boxes. I'll have to hunt for it and see if I have it. If not, I'll skip the lock. But because I'm pretty sure there's a lock and a chain. Doesn't seem to be in that one. A lot of stuff in there. It's not in my findings, I don't think. No, it shouldn't be in there. can't remember if I used it last year. Possible. Anything is possible. How many more boxes of these I have? Too many boxes, guys. What is that? That's clips, not there. Kitty cat's not there. Let's see. I have a feeling I used it. I'll look a little bit more and then we'll decide if I did or not. Halloween clasps. Yeah, I don't see it. Alright, so either it's hiding very well or I used it. It could be hiding very well. But anyway, it's not absolutely necessary. If I really wanted a chain, I could just get some old jewelry or something and make a chain. So, what I'm thinking is I want to have this, I think, with the little on the outside. Yeah, I think on the edge, like this, and open just a little bit like this. Okay, so something like that. And then that will, it's very hard to show on the thing. That will be open like that. Our area here will have maybe a cauldron, maybe some gravestones. This skull does not want to stand. What is up with you, dude? Stay. Some skulls, maybe. It's not going to stand. And maybe like just dirt and stuff for like a gravestone is what I'm thinking. You know, like it looks like a freshly dug grave. And then that little sign that's floating around here somewhere that I just had that I've lost. So either I'm going to use, I don't know if I want to use this one. It's very cool. I need to use it because it's cool. I used the cauldron last time, and I do like the cauldron. But I'll put some baubles in there if I use this one. I have some smaller ones because I have Tim Holtz's, and there are some tiny ones in there that I can fill this up with. I can fill it up with like a big one to start with so they don't take it up all the room. And then the littler ones. And I'll color these whatever color I decide to go with. Probably maybe green. Could be green, could be amber. But we'll throw baubles in there. Something like that. If I use either one, whether I use the cauldron or I use the kitty cat lantern. Because I don't think I want to use them as a jack-o'-lantern. I don't know. I could even just put bones in it, you know. There's lots of options. But I had that so sign. Are you still sitting here? I buried it. I don't know where it is. But the sign may be sticking there with the direction saying like maybe Haunted Mansion one direction and Graveyard the other direction or something is kind of what I'm thinking. I'll have to somehow make up labels to throw on there. I'd probably just print out something. I don't think I have any rub-ons that say particularly that, but rub-ons work perfectly on these little like Tim Holtz resin gravestones. Just so you know, in case you haven't tried. Trying to see where I threw those rub-ons. They are in. I'll find that sign in a bit, but it doesn't matter. Y'all know what I mean. So, these guys, these rub-ons, they're called Remnant Rubs. Now, I don't know if this was a discontinued thing or not. It was from 2022. But there's like things you can put on the gravestones. Little decorations and some cute sayings. You know, silly pun type sayings. You know, Phil Dirt, Anita Shovel, Stupidity, See You Later, and I'm a Goner, and No Escape, and No Regrets, Nora Regrets. So, those are real cute. and I still have some of those left, so probably put something on the tombstones. I think that's that. But that's the general idea of what I will be making, so that you kind of have an understanding, at least. Where is that box? Oh, it's way over there. Just trying to find it. These little guys I found at Michael's. I'm going to use one of them for inside. One has a feather, one does not. And this one's got more decoration on his bust area, and this one has like a straighter lapel with, I think, a bat. They're both cool. But one of those will go inside. That was a Michael's thing. Alright. Try to put things back where they go. So hopefully I can find it. We'll see. It never works out like that, but did I have the skulls in here? No, I did not. Or did I have the skulls? I have the skulls. Oh, maybe it was in there. It was in a long one. Is it hiding? I don't know. No, we're going to throw them in there for now. I don't know where they were. They were somewhere. There's a box of skulls floating around here somewhere. Oh, I can't even close that, so I know it wasn't in there. Oh, there's a skull too. But we need to get to covering our box. But you do have to, whenever you decide to do one of these, you really have to figure out what you're going to do first. Because you got to plan all the kinds of things like lights and, you know, what has to be done first, what has to be done last, all that kind of stuff. So, the first thing I think I need to do is, well, the first thing I would do is cut out any pieces that you need and turn them into that kind of furniture, okay, which I have already done. So these are going to be my furniture pieces that I am using. Dollar Tree also has the dresser that I did last year on my vignette. You could also use that instead of this one if you can find it. I cut off the drawers to make that one work. But there's almost always options. And then if you can't find that, go to, like, there's another section in Michael's that has like dollhouse furniture. And there's a section in Hobby Lobby that has dollhouse furniture. And you can probably find something ready-made if you don't want to make it. You know, I make them because, one, I enjoy doing it, and two, it saves me a lot of money. You know, not that dollhouse furniture, that type, is super expensive, but it's money nonetheless. So, and I enjoy it. And, you know, that's what I do. So. Okay, so let's see, what do I want to do first? I do need to grunge up this furniture. So today we're going to try to grunge up that furniture. Might put a base coat on this lantern. It's a potion bottle I had started. I don't know where my potion bottles are. Floating around here somewhere. And we are going to prep this box. Probably not going to prep that one just yet. Although I might think about where the holes are going to be. That I got to figure out. But the first thing you want to do is prep. If you're using one of these boxes, they are not always in great shape. I'm just going to say it. It's Dollar Tree, guys. Sometimes you get them and they're falling apart. And if you get one and it's, you know, not in great shape, if, you know, the parts are open and not glued real well, throw some glue in there, clamp it up or something, and just stabilize your box. Because it is your base, it does need to be put together well. You know, you need to make sure that all the surfaces are glued down and all of that. You can take this off with a blow dryer. That's what I did. I just took my blow dryer, heated it up a little bit, and scraped it off with my scraper. Okay? Don't try to just pull it off without heating it, because you might risk tearing your paper. This is just paper. Now, I'll put a protective coating over this when I'm done completely. but for right now, it's just plain old paper. All right, so I pretty much went around this and glued it anywhere that I felt like it wasn't real stable. And I left one place open on the corner here, so these are all glued real good. This one I left open to show you. Okay, so this one, when I opened this box, I'm trying to get the light to hit it. When I opened this box, these corners weren't real secure, and some of them, they weren't all the way to the corner, like they curved and they weren't flush. So those, I just either peeled them up or just sliced it so that they were flush, because if that's curved, it's going to keep you from getting your papers in there good. So just make sure everything is flush to all of the corners and glued. So that's what we're going to do with that last little part. Just going to throw some glue in there. I just used art glitter. Just a quick drying glue is all you need. Just figuring out how to do it so y'all can see, but it doesn't. I'm going to turn it. I'm trying to figure out a direction I can turn this and do it. Okay, I'm going to try to do it this direction because I can't. I just got to get some glue in there. Don't put glue there. We're going to cover that up. And then once you get the glue on there, just push it down. Make sure that it is completely flush with your little corner. It's very, very easy. It's not hard. It's just, you got to do it. If you don't do it, it's going to give you problems later and you're going to be frustrated. So just go ahead and do that. All right, so should I turn my fan on? Melting already. I'm never going to find anything. I've got it so just strewn out all over the place. All right, let's see. I'm trying to think about what I want to do first. I think I want to put texture paste on this first. Well, you know, I'm going to put the wallpapers on first and then I'll put the texture paste. Because the texture paste, I'm going to make these book pages look more like book pages. At least a little more 3D. Right now it's just printed and it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of cheesy. So we're going to make it a little more 3D realistic. And we're going to use some, I think just regular texture paste. So this is what? This is crackle. We don't want crackle. I could probably get away with using grit paste. It's translucent with a little bit of flakes. But I think what I'm going to do is use my normal golden light molding paste for that. I tested it. It seemed to work fine. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have bricks and stuff on. So these 3D folders, these are the bricks 3D folders. Sizzix. And I wasn't going to use them, but I think what I'm going to do with them, you could use paper just as easily. But I had them and I was like, so I have this brick one. So I made up a little bit of pieces of brick, and what this is going to be for is that area that's going to be a box here. It's going to cover that space so that it's just looks so, you know, cool. It looks like a little brick wall in between there. That's what that's for. And I'm just going to cut it up, and I have several of these and I'll show you how I did them in a minute, hopefully. That's my plan, is to show you how I did these folders. I love this. Look at that. Isn't that so cool? Some of these are plain because I want to show you. I have a white one somewhere. Where's the white one? There it is. Isn't that fun? I'm thinking I'm going to put one of these on the inside. Like here. And then put the box over it. It's very textured, so I might have to cut it out. But that's what I'm kind of thinking. I just don't know if it gets lost too much there. But I do like it. If I wanted more to show, I could cut this down to just one, but I think I want two. I don't know, because it'll give me more room for books and stuff. But I got a few different colors, and I was like, that could be cool to do that. And then I have the black. So I'm kind of thinking I might do that. I could have used the brick, but when I bought this folder, this little folder, I thought it was normal size. I did not realize it was the mini. I like that it's the mini because the bricks are smaller, but that means the folder's also smaller and it doesn't give you very much to work with. So if I wanted to cover this wall, I would have to piece all of these pieces in there with like 4 of these. It's a little more challenging than I like, but that was my fault. I didn't notice it said mini. So watch when you buy your folders, because some of them say mini and some are not mini. So for the book nook, so I played around with some texture paste. I don't need this sparkle one on here. So this is just texture paste, and it's been scratched through to look kind of like book pages. So that's the idea, is that's going to go and be grunged up and look like that. So we're going to do that in a minute. I'm debating if I want to do the inside now. The texture paste, once it dries, it won't be in my way. So I could do it at either point. I can't really do the wallpaper yet until I think I figure out where the holes are going to be. I could, but then I have to drill through the wallpaper too, and I prefer to have the hole done first and then place the wallpaper and then just punch through the wallpaper instead of tearing through the wallpaper to make a hole. Does that make sense? Okay, I hope it makes sense. So let's go ahead and do the texture paste, and we'll base coat these pieces. What time is it? 10. I think I can do that much. So I don't know how much taping off I need to do. Maybe just a little. I mostly don't want this to get stuck together. So I think I'm going to use a little bit of my, I'll have to see if it'll stick enough. See if this will stick. Yeah, that'll stick enough. So I'm going to use this, this is that light tack mint tape that I get from scrapbook.com. Any kind of a tape that you have that's really low tack, and not your blue tape. Your blue tape will tear paper if you leave it on there too much or if you pull too quickly. So do be careful if you decide to use that. I find these types work safer. So I'm just going to tape that so hopefully I don't get too much on there. I'll tape this side. I'm not going to do the bottom because you're not going to see it. So there's no sense in doing it. But I don't want to accidentally close my, I don't want to close my door permanently shut. I don't care so much if it gets on this area. I can kind of wipe it off enough and I don't really care. But this area is more of a caution. So let's do that. And we're just going to put this on with like a spatula of some sort. Let's see, what do I got? I think I'll use this little piece of a chocolate one. I don't know, I could maybe use my orange one too. Let's see. It's a good size. Will it go in my thing? Just barely. I don't know. Sometimes they're too small and I don't like them. If they're too big and I don't like them. But some sort of a spatula. I might just get it out with this one and maybe spread it with that one. So this is a flexible texture paste. I use it all the time in other projects when I want a texture look, or I put it through stencils or things like that. It's kind of dried up, honestly. New one. Like I said, I'm not super worried about it getting on this outside edge because it's just going to make it look more grungy. So I'm going to try to get in there as much as I can. And I want the layer to be a little thick. Not super thick, but a little thick. Like maybe not quite a 16th. So I'm going to try to get a decent layer on here. I might have to use that other one. I'll try to just get some on here with this and then I'll use the big one. It's a water-based, so cleanup is with water until it dries anyway. Don't let it dry on your tools, because then cleanup will be very difficult. But clean it up while it's wet. All right, so keep a rag or a wet wipe or a baby wipe or something. So we're just gonna try and kind of flatten this out a little bit, but not so flat that we, push it down. We want to keep it thick. Hardest part's getting in that little nook right there. Go in there. There we go. So just spread that on like that. I'm trying to get all the way up to my edge. I want it to look like a fake book page. Well, book pages. I'm going to try to come around this corner. I might blow it dry. I don't know. I'm debating if I want to try to do the whole thing at once. It doesn't dry super fast, so I've got time. We'll try to do the whole thing. If I can get it off this. Let me see if I can use that other one. Let's get a good coat on here. Am I close enough for y'all? It's not really a whole lot of detail in this part. Mostly I want to try and make sure I have enough of a thickness on that edge that I can make it look like it goes around the corner. I'll probably come off the edge in a second up there. It doesn't have, it's going to have paint, so it doesn't matter if some of the other stuff shows through. You just want enough that you can get the texture on there. So let's see if we can put a little bit higher right there. If I can get in there. It's almost empty. I'm just trying to make sure it's raised enough on the edge. And it doesn't have to look pretty at this point, really, because you're going to be drawing lines in it. This way. As far as how long it gives you to dry, I'd say like 10 to 15 minutes before it starts sealing over. It's not a super long time, but it's enough time that you should be able to work it. So we're trying to come around that edge. This shouldn't be too difficult since I'm just doing the two sides. Okay. I think that should be sufficient. I'll wipe these things off. Let me grab a wipe. Grabbed 6 wipes. I don't want 6. I just wanted 1. Where can I stick you? Over there. Clean them off if you can. There's silicone, those little truckature things, so it will wipe off it after without too much difficulty because it's silicone. I might use this for my lines. I'm going to see if it's thin enough. It needs to be fairly thin. So right now I'm just going to clean up my book edges just a little bit, although I may end up grunging it up. For right now I'm going to kind of keep it in that area. So I'm just going to clean them off with this little wipe. Try not to take off the middle, which I think I just did. Can't tell. Did I? See if I can squish it back over there if I did. I don't know if I did or not. Maybe, maybe not. All right. Figure out where to wipe that. Just clean it off a little bit. Like I said, I don't care if it's grungy, so. But I don't want it to affect glue and anything later. Alright, so then you're at that point where you've got just some texture paste on there. Now we want it to look like book pages. So I'm just trying to get that off my hands so I don't have texture paste everywhere. And let's try a couple of methods first. So we're going to try, I'm going to try this side first. So let's see, if I take this, try and decide if I can draw it through. You want to make sure it doesn't pull all the paste off. So it has to be thin enough that it doesn't pull all your paste off. That's kind of the key. So I don't know if that's thin enough. Let me try something else. I don't remember what I used on the other one. I honestly don't. I'm going to try this. So I'm just drawing hints of lines. Is this thin enough? Maybe. They don't have to be perfectly straight. When it starts building up on there, you'll need to wipe it off, or you'll your grooves will get fatter and fatter, basically. So try to make sure that you don't get, I don't care. I'm going to put a ton of them. I don't know if there's an easier way to do it or not. I don't know if a pencil would work. Maybe. Yeah, sometimes you just have to play with what you have and see what works. Because you're probably not going to have the same things I have. And that's fine, because there are lots of different things you could use. Don't worry about any little flecks, because you can knock them off later. So don't stress about trying to get those to come out. Just worry about getting the lines in there. So we're just going to keep trying to put some lines. There should be a decent amount of pages here, so we don't want to skimp on it. It's starting to look like pages, and once it's painted, it'll look more like pages. Right now I just want to try to get as much of it as I can to have lines. Okay, so see how that's looking? And like I said, don't worry about the little fat, we'll call them texture boogers. Don't worry about them. They can be sanded off or whatever once it dries. All right, now just get your lines. So let's see how this does. I just want to make sure it goes to this edge okay. Might need to come in. Try to get that somewhat flat looking. You don't have to go all the way in each step. Nobody's going to know if these lines connect or don't connect. It will not be obvious. I'm just wiping this each time because it's easier. And I'll just sand off any of those little bumps. I'm pretty sure they sanded off fairly easy when I did it before. Alright, I think that looks pretty much like a book. Alright, so there's that. We're going to let that dry. It will take, like I said, it'll skim over fairly fast. You can hit it with the blow dryer if you're real worried about bumping it or something. But usually I just set it aside and let it do its thing. I'm going to paint some of this furniture in the meantime so we don't have to worry about it. And that could be shut, not shut, because it's not going to stick to that tape. It'll be fine. So I'll set this aside and let it dry. And then the next time we'll come back and paint it. All right, so that's that step for the book. see where I can set this guy. Somewhere I won't bump it. Easier said than done. All right, I'll try right here. Okay. I have a knot in my cord. Oh well. Okay. Let me show you the folder while I'm at it, because I got this cut out to show you. I've pretty much showed you guys potion bottles in the past, and I've showed you books in the past. I don't know if I need to show you that technique again. I'm pretty sure I already have it. So this was achieved with watercolor paper. You can use the Tim Holtz ones, or just any brand. I've tried their brand and my cheaper brand, which I think is Canson. I'm trying to remember what brand it is. I'll tell you in a second. You can use cardstock. The cardstock is thinner and it's a little more fragile, and it will get holes in it that you can see light through sometimes because it is so thin. And this is very 3D once it's grooved in. The watercolor doesn't tend to get the holes, and it holds up a lot better. It's much thicker. Whereas this is, you see how that is, versus this is very stiff. Okay, there's a big difference between those, but it works on both. So I wanted to do one more color. So this is a gray that I achieved with just some black, carbon black acrylic ink from Liquitex and some water. That's all that is on watercolor paper. This one is several reds, brown, and a little bit of oxide. And I don't know if I can spray it today because it's kind of messy, so I don't know about that. But I'll show you what I used. This. Right. Don't grab your mic. You'll still in hitting my mic. All right, so for this brick, I used Distress Spray Stain in Lumberjack Plaid. I used Distress Oxide Spray in Rusty Hinge. Now, this is just these little bitty white spots here and there. There's not much there at all. You can barely see it. Okay, it's not a lot, but it's just a hint. This brown is Desert Sand. You can also use Vintage Photo, even Walnut, to get these little browner areas. And then I also played around with some of this, which was Fiery Sunset. So I used both of these reds. They're very similar, the Lumberjack and the Fiery Sunset. The Lumberjack, I think it was the Lumberjack. One of them is definitely is brighter, but they both work well. I'm going to try to, I think I already have one sprayed. Let me find it. Yeah, I already have one sprayed. So this is after I sprayed one. It looks like that. Okay, you can see all the mess on the back. And these are different colors I played around with just to see what they look like. And that was the one I came up with that I liked the best. None of them are wrong. They're just different colors. You can do all kinds of colors. That one's nice too. That one's got more ink in the inside. Sometimes the ink works better. This is inked better. This one I don't think I inked. I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're going to do this one just to show you. But just spray your paper with a bunch of different colors of red and some brown and maybe a little bit of oxide here and there. That's all you got to do. Let it completely dry. Let it dry between layers. Okay, some dark colors, let it dry. Add a little bit of oxide, let it dry. Okay, if you try to do it all at once while it's wet, you're just going to end up with mush of a muddy color. It won't work the same. So don't do that. If you want to know how to spray, watch any of the Tim Holtz videos, and he will give you all kinds of lessons on spraying. But I'm not going to get into spraying because I don't have the setup to spray on camera. I really don't. It's just too messy. This one was just, like I said, it's just the Liquitex ink. I'll show you the ink I used. I think I've showed it to you before, but just in case. Carbon black. Trying to find the bottle. Alright. So, this one is Liquitex acrylic ink in carbon black. And I just added like a dropper full into some water, distilled water, put in a spray bottle. These are Dollar Tree spray bottles. And that's what I sprayed on there to get kind of a gray. Okay. And then you want them to be dry to start with. You're going to wet them a little bit, but not super wet. I'm going to zoom back out because I'm going to start getting out of focus when I pull this big shot over here. All right, let me see if I got to make room. It takes a lot of room. It's big. I don't have a small embosser. All right, let's see. What do we got here? We need one plate. You can use a regular plate or you can use your Magic Mat, whatever you have that works. I'm going to use just a regular plate today. If you have an embosser. If you don't have an embosser, you can just ignore all this. You don't have to have an embosser. You could also stencil with texture paste through a brick stencil. Or stencil, you know, through something. Cobblestone or whatever. Or just throw a texture on there and make it look textured. I'm trying to see if I got room to do this. So I have to pull this out. All right, water, you're going down there for a minute. For this one, you don't use your whole platform. If you have this, guys, it calls for you only using the bottom piece and not either of these two pieces. I find with the 3D, as long as I'm on watercolor paper, that's true. If I'm on cardstock, I have to add this piece too, or it doesn't work well enough. And sometimes I even add it on the watercolor. It just depends if I'm getting enough pressure. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. So we'll do the brick first. So I want my brick to have black inside the bricks. I'll show you the difference. Okay. This one doesn't have black inside the bricks. I don't know if you can tell. And this one does. Okay. And I just do that with acrylic ink. Or not acrylic, archival. Archival is the word. Archival ink in black. We're using, this one happens to be black soot. You could also use, there's a jet black one if you have the older ones. I don't know what you have. So, all right, so here's what you do. Let's see if we can get this in a good spot. So you need your embossing folder. And on your folder, you have a front, which has this printed area, and it says the name. It says Tim Holtz Physics. Okay, and the back looks like that. It's just plain. Okay, so you want the front. The front has the part that indents in. So all of those deep grooves are on this part. So we're going to color that with ink. And then this part, we're going to wet this, but because we're using archival ink, we don't want water mixing with our archival ink because it's oil-based and not water-based. And typically you spritz the 3Ds with water. So we want to spritz the back. So we're going to take a light mist of water. I'm not going to do it over my thing because I'll get it on everything, but I'm going to spritz this just like once, just to give it a little bit of softness. So spritz it. Now it's just got, you see that sheen? Just teeny bit of softness on there of water. You can set that aside for now. Take your ink pad Try not to drop it. And you're just going to ink up this top layer on your embossing folder. Okay, it's better if you can lay it down and do it. Just get a good layer on there. Okay, you'll see it. It's shiny. I should try to get a decent amount. Cover that up. All right, so that goes on the top. Put your wet side down into your folder. Close it up. Try to make sure it stays flat because it's going to curl a little bit. All right, put it onto your pad. You do not need a bottom pad, just the base. And then your top pad. Start them at a little bit curved. If you start it curved, it grabs better. If you start it flat, it's harder for the machine to grab it. So do it just a little bit curved if you have room. Put your plate on there and then feed it through. Okay, I usually try to go through a couple times. I just get to where I can feel like it's at the end and then I come back. It's usually enough. If it's not enough, you can line them back up and go through again. Okay, and then you get that. And then that ink is in those little grooves. Now, if the ink's not in the grooves enough, you wanted it more in the grooves, you can pass it through again. Okay, because this is 3D, it will lock into place where it belongs. So you don't have to worry about lining it up. So go ahead and give it another ink. Try to get a decent amount on there. Whoops, turn over. And then make sure it's locked in. You'll feel it. And then lay it back down. And you can hit it again. If it feels like it's not going through tight enough, if it's going through and you don't hardly have any resistance, it's probably not enough. And I don't have hardly any resistance. I can barely feel that. So I'm going to actually add that one piece back that it tells you don't need, because I find that I do need it most of the time. It's very thin, but it's just that little bit. It does make a difference. You just don't want it to be so hard to push through that you can't roll it. If you can't roll it, there's a problem. Don't force it. You'll break it. So it should be fairly easy. Okay, there. Let's try that. Let's see what it looks like. There we go. A lot more color. All right, so and then we got that. Isn't that cool? And you just pop it out of there. And there you go. Okay. That's how I did my brick. This you can clean off with Purell or alcohol. And then what I usually clean them off with Purell, and then I actually take my Master's brush cleaner and I give them a good wash with a toothbrush, and then I let them dry, or I dry them with like a microfiber. You can just let them dry, and then I dry them. I don't have all that stuff right next to me, so for right now I'm just going to kind of wipe it with paper towel just to get some of that ink. Chances are it's already dry and it won't matter anyway. But you might reactivate it later, so you don't want to reactivate it with something later. All right, we're going to do a skull. So we're going to use this gray. Where's my skull folder? There it is. So for this, I'm doing a dark gray on this particular one. This is watercolor paper. But this skull one particularly is a really deep emboss. So I would highly suggest using this second piece because it's a deep emboss. But same thing, I want the black to hit inside. It's basically going to be the depth of the eyes and anything that's deep in there. Eyes, the mouth, the background, all of that. And we're putting it on the top again, same thing. And just coat that real good. Now, because this one is really deep and it does have a lot of little layers in there, you can kind of play with trying to get that second layer. It's got like 3 layers of height. and it's a little difficult to hit that second middle layer of height, but I try to get it just a little bit if I can. It's not a huge deal, but it does look cool. So same thing, we want to spray the back of this, not the front. So pulling it away, just giving it a light mist, lay it down. And turn it just slightly sideways. And we're going to run that through. And this one's really tight, but it's not, it just works much better if it's tight. Keep your fingers out of the way. Don't put your finger through there. You'll pinch it before it goes through, but you'll know. I've done it. Also, when you're putting it through, try to go with the folded edge in, okay? Because if you go with this edge, you could possibly cause this to push forward and this to crack. So always go with your folded edge in first, okay? So there we go. So this is a much subtler look because it's already very dark gray, but you still got all that yummy black into those deep grooves. And if I wanted it even more, I could do it one more pass, but I'm not going to bother. I think it's fine. And then, let's say I wanted that to have a little bit of highlight over it. Let me get this thing out of my way. What time is it? 10:30. Okay. It'll take like I said, it's a lot to cover. I have a basket here somewhere. Where's my basket? I don't see it. All right, we're just going to stack you up there. All right, get this out of the way. It's heavy. So, if you want to take it one step further, you can get some white ink, if I can find it. Where'd you put it? I think it's in my box. Is that where it is? Green, white. All right, this one is called Glacier White. I know there's also a picket fence. I have Glacier White because mine are several years old. And then you just take your pad and just very lightly go over the top. And you're just going to get another layer of color. And because this ink that I used is not water-based, the acrylic ink, that Liquitex acrylic ink I showed you, is not like the Distress inks. I don't have to worry about it coming off on this white. If I had used distressed ink, I probably wouldn't do that because it would be more likely to come off on the white and make it really gray. And I've already made it gray a couple of times, so I'm trying not to gray it anymore. But you can totally just come over and burnish the skulls to give them a cool look. You can try to get on these. There's like this third level that's a little bit lower. Try to get a little bit on there. You can do it as much or as little as you want. But isn't it cool? It's a very cool look. I like it. Okay, so there's that. There's your inks. There's embossing 101. It's not that difficult. It's fun. Isn't that cool? Look at all that texture. Just look at it from the back. See how deep that is? It's very cool. So, but we'll use one of those. I don't know what color yet. I'll figure it out later when I pick out my wallpaper and all that. Because I don't know right now what color wallpaper I'm going to use. Alright, I want to grunge these up, so I got to start painting them. And this. So we're just going to use acrylic paint for this. You could use your inks, I guess, but it's probably safer to use acrylic. Find my papers. Gosh, my cord keeps getting knocked on everything. All right. I showed y'all how to do these. I changed the thread from that jute to a cotton cording because the jute kept getting on everything. This is just Amazon packaging that I get, and I roll it up on a roll. It's very handy, and it was free. So, and that's just a Reynolds wrap roll. I always keep all of them. So I use them for lots of things. I use them for holding jars and all kinds of things. And then I write what it was. This happens to be a medium weight craft that came in my package. Sometimes I get a really lightweight craft in my packages. Sometimes it's a medium. It does vary. Painting on. All right. So try to reuse stuff when I can. I'm somewhat frugal. Okay. So we're just going to grunge this up with some, I think we're going to start with a real brown. Grunge that up a little bit. This is Folk Art Multi-Surface Satin. You could just use a normal acrylic. But the multi-surface is made to go on wood and stuff. It says it's satin, but it really doesn't have much of a sheen. Excuse me, particularly if you're doing a thin coat and adding water. I'm going to add a little water to this. I am thinning it out quite a bit. And normally I would use a sponge, but I don't think I have one. I'm going to put a glove on because I'm going to make a mess. Probably. I don't think I have a sponge over here. We'll see if I have one. I don't see one. I could run in the bathroom and grab one. But we'll go for it. So I'll just use a chip brush or something. You can use a chip brush, it's fine. Grab my chip brushes if I can reach them. Let's see. We'll use that one. Oops, and that one. Make sure I didn't lay that in there. So I'm just going to make this stuff. Now this one I'm probably not going to thin as much or put much brown on it. I might actually, I'm going to make this one a little bit of very, very, very dark brown. So I'm just going to add a little black on my plate here. I want to get rid of that plastic coating, so to speak. But I don't want to cover my glass. I'm not going to try to tape it. That would take too long. I'm just going to try to go around it. So I'm just going to grab a small brush. If I can find a small brush. What is this? This will work. All right, so I'm just going to take a little bit of black, a little bit of brown, make a very, very, very dark brown. Or yeah, it's almost a dark brown. And I'm just going to paint this plastic. Now this is a Folk Art Multi-Surface Satin, so it's going to stick to this just fine. Even thinned out. But you don't really have to thin it out at this point because we're just putting a coat on here just to give it a base coat. I don't want the plastic to be my base coat, so. And it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Nobody's going to be looking at it that close. But mostly I just don't want to paint my glass, if I can help it. That one little spot there in the middle is going to be the trickiest. Now, if you're worried about holding it, you could do one side at a time and come back, but I'm just going to go for it. It's hard to see, So I'm hoping I'm getting it all covered, because in this lighting right now, I can barely see it. I think I've got it. Try to get all of your little edges, and then I'm going to get that little ring. I'm just going to kind of come out. Like I said, if it gets a little on the glass, it's fine, because it's, and you could wipe it off, honestly. It's acrylic, but as long as it's not cured for like 21 days, I can still scratch it off of there. Once it cures for 21 days, though, it's on there. You're not getting it off. It is pretty much permanent. Oh, this spins, this little middle piece, so I'm just spinning it. There, I think I got it all. Should look at the light. I don't know if I got that spot or not. Once it starts drying, then you can kind of tell if you missed any spots. It's just all the grunging I do will stick to this paint better than it will stick to that plastic. And it will give it a better finish. Alright, so there's that. That's our first step for that lantern. We're going to set it aside, let it dry. I'll wash this brush out. I threw my water over here somewhere. I gotta go find it now. Where'd you put your water? Oh, there it is. Like I said, tight space today. Alright, let's get this water over here. I need it. Alright, wash my brush out. I feel like I just painted myself. Alright, so there's that. Let's do these tables. Now, these tables, actually I really kind of wanted to grunge them up a little bit first. I didn't do that. This isn't going to dry anytime fast. Let's go ahead and do that, but it is going to be messy. And I need my hand. I can't do it with a glove. I forgot to grunge them up. So I want these to look older than they look now. This one actually looks kind of old because I did cut it myself. So it's kind of in pieces. But I want it to look pretty old. I am going to age it. I'm just going to take my blade very carefully away from my hand. I'm going to make little gouges. Okay? A couple little gouges here and there. You know, wear the corners off a little. You want it to look old. Give it a couple of scratches here and there. Basically just grunge it up, but do it away. Don't cut towards your finger. It takes so little because this is fairly soft wood, so we're just kind of making it a little less perfect. We definitely don't want it to look perfect. It's a old apothecary, mad scientist, witches room, I don't know. You really only have to do one side. If you can remember which side, that's awesome. I'm going to try to just do this side, and hopefully I can remember. I should be able to tell by looking at it. But give it a decent amount of aging. The more you do, the better it will look. Trust me. Alright, so grunge that up. Just kind of look at it, make sure you didn't miss any. I think I missed right there. Just a little. Alright, and then you can take your very, very light sandpaper, like 320 grit, and just sand over it just so you have all the splinters off. Light sanding. That M, so I cut myself. Okay. That's probably sufficient. If you want it to look even worse, you can always just stab it with something, make little pot marks in it. I have like a 5-in-1 tool, you know, just give it a couple little bumps. This will put like those little wormhole kind of things. Most of this you won't see. It's going to be in the vignette, so it's not a big deal with this piece, but You can do a little bit like that if you want. Okay, set that aside. Do this one. Same thing. So grunge it up. We don't want perfect furniture. We want furniture that's been in this house for 100 years. And it's maybe not been treated perfectly. You know, it's had some serious wear and tear. You know, maybe more off the edges. The biggest thing is just always cut away from you when you're doing this. You really cannot do this part wrong, per se. I mean, you could go too far, maybe, but honestly, I just think it would just add to it, so I wouldn't worry about it. You're probably not going to go too far, unless you cut the whole leg off. And then you've gone too far, and you have to glue that leg back on. But for the most part, this is going to be on the back. I'm just trying to get that leg just in case it shows. I don't think it will. The inside of that leg. And the inside of this leg. And then, let's see. I don't know if we can get some kind of marks in here, maybe just a little bit. You can also use like a really coarse grit sandpaper to put some deep scratches. When you're painting, we can do coffee staining. All kinds of things can be done to this. I'm just going to grunge it up so it looks a little worse for wear. Let's mess up these drawers a little bit too. Like I said, it's very soft, so it won't take much. Just don't skip the sanding part because you'll have a lot of splinters. Although I'm not worried about the look of the splinter, I don't want to run it through my finger later. And it just kind of rounds off any of that aging that you did. That is dollhouse furniture, so be somewhat careful, but they're pretty sturdy little pieces. And like I said, if you want to put like some really deep scratches, the 80 grit works real well for that. I think that's 80. Yeah. You can put pretty deep scratch on. It'll only show up after when you paint it. I'm trying to be perfect. Don't go scratch, 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 scratch. You don't want it in a row, and you don't want it super obvious. You want it to be random. So try to keep it as random as you can when you want it to be in a line. And go different directions and stuff, okay? That should be sufficient. Okay, enough of aging. Make sure that feels fairly smooth. I think we're good. Let's clean this off. I could just pull this paper off, but I'm being lazy. We're just going to brush it off into my trash can. Okay. All right. So now we can paint it with our wash color. I'm going to add more water because it's probably starting to dry out by now. And we'll start with this guy. Let me put my glove back on so I don't have my hand brown. Alright, so mostly this real brown. You could add a little bit of black to it if you want. And you're just going to wash that on there. I'm going to come in just a fraction. Like I said, you could also use a sponge if you have a sponge. You do want to keep it thin. That's why a sponge is better, because it's easier to rub over and not get too thick. See what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab a wipe. I don't usually use the wipes, but my wipes don't have chemicals. They're just water wipes. They're called water wipes. They don't have any added chemicals. But you can use a wipe. There's some glue there. If there's glue, your paint color is not going to stick to it, so you might have to kind of play with it a little bit, because it's just not going to stick to it. I usually use sponges and not wipes, because I don't want to add any chemicals that might be in a wipe to my paint. I want to keep it, you know, pure. I don't want to add anything that I don't know what it is. And this is just water and I think grapefruit or something. It's not got anything major. I think this is the back, but I'm going to do it anyway, just in case. If y'all have watched me on Stencil Sunday, you know how to do the sponge technique. Most of you have. Basically, you just take a sea sponge and you wring it out. You wet it and you wring it out, and then you paint with it. It's nice because it gets in the grooves and stuff, but honestly, my closest one, I just don't feel like going and getting it right now. Well, this furniture is going to be fairly dark. Splinter there. Thought I got them all. But that's okay. I kind of like it dark. Can lighten it with this, but you got to watch these glue spots. They're not going to lighten. Of course, granted, I might stick something there anyway, so it won't matter. I'm not going to stress about that for sure. Probably will not matter. Do the under part just because, you know, people are looking at vignettes from all angles, and they might see the under part. Alright, did I get them all? I think I did. Yeah, you can kind of tell the difference. Alright, I'm up. It's like that wood glue. Wood glue is evil. Paint and wood glue do not get along. Once it dries, it'll be fine, but it's just getting it to dry on it. Alright, so there's that. That's kind of grungy looking. It'll dry a little bit lighter, probably. Let's do this one. Same thing. I don't need that black, but it's already on my plate, so I just need it nice and wet. You see, this goes fairly fast. And you'll be able to see all those distressed marks I made now on this top piece, particularly. I'll try and show you. Not sure if the lighting will let it show. Is it? I can't tell if it's showing you those scratches or not. Can you see them? Once it dries, I'll show even more, but it's kind of showing. Go slow. Trying to lose focus. You can tell everywhere there's wood glue. So any place that I have wood glue that's fighting with my paint, I'll just dab it on there and let it dry. And like I said, once that layer dries, it should be all right. Because then you could put another layer over the top if you need to. You just kind of have to fight it a little bit. There's a lot around those little handles. Now to paint. Hope you guys like this session. I know I don't get a lot done with it because it is just a lot of prep work and stuff, but you know, you need to know that part too, so. I think my hubby's getting in the shower. I can hear him. So I will apologize ahead of time if y'all hear the shower turn on. That's the back. I don't think I need it, but we're going to do it anyway. I'm working fast. It does not really matter. Like I said, the worse the paint job is, the better it's going to look. Honestly. Some glue there. So I'll go over these areas where the glue is maybe. Try to get them to cover up a little bit better. I'll admit, well, if they're in the front, I'm not going to worry about the ones in the back. That's pretty good. All right. So, just right there, I think. I'm just going to use my small brush. I'll try to dab some paint on there. So you have to kind of just stipple it on areas when there's glue that's causing that resistance, and let it dry. What's going to happen is because this paint will stick to plastics, it'll stick to that too. It just is a little trickier to get that first coat on there. But that should be sufficient. You can do edges darker, lighter, with more coats. It's up to you. Okay, you can also sand after and play with it that way, but that's sufficient for a nice grungy look. And see, this one's starting to dry. Let's see if you can tell the difference in the color. See how it's going from kind of a warm to more of a... All right. Wash out my chip brush. And wash out my regular brush. That is good. That is good. What did I not get done? Anything that I wanted to, oh, that little end table, huh? I guess I shouldn't have. I missed this one. We're going to do this one too. Now, this one I can't really distress a whole lot because it's super thin. So I'm just, I might could sand it possibly. We'll see. Let's see if I can get any little grooves in there, maybe. It's just really thin wood, so I'm not sure if I can do much to it. We'll try to put just a couple in there. So it's just going to be a little cupboard. Forgot about it. Almost didn't paint it. Alright, let's get more paint on there. Going through that brown fast. More brown. That should be enough. This is one that a sponge would definitely probably faster, but we're just going to go for it. So we can get that in there. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's an easy paint job. Very easy. If you got any little bubbles or anything like that, they'll pop. They'll go away. Don't worry about them. It'll be fine. This is a very different wood, so it's going to paint a little bit different than that other one. It's a thinner wood. It's almost, I think it's almost like a balsa. Whereas the other one is more like a pine or something, maybe basswood. I'm not sure. To get it, there's a spot. Make sure you turn it all the directions because you will definitely miss spots. Okay. I get them all. I got them all. All right. Okay, we'll let that dry. So, done with that. And rag. Am I zoomed out? I think I'm in a little bit. Let me zoom out just a little bit. There we go. And let's see. Talk about everything. I think for tonight, that's all I'm going to get done. It's already 11. It took me a while. I knew it would. The rest probably won't take quite as long, hopefully. Like I said, a lot of this prep stuff takes a while. So we got some furniture grunged up. We've got our texture paste drying. Like I said, I have a bunch of potion bottles that are done already. I have some lessons on this. If y'all want me to show you more lessons, I'll do a few more on camera, but I'm going to do a bunch of these. There's ink. Oh, it was from this. I was like, where did that come from? I'll do more later, but I have quite a few already. I think I have like these kind of bottles that I've decorated. So I'll have a bunch of those on for shelves. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna lay them out yet. We'll see. And then I have a whole bunch of books that I've done. And they are floating around here somewhere. So, a bunch of books. Lots and lots of books. And like I said, I've done the lesson on both of those several times. If you guys need either a link to it or you need me to just show one again, let me know. I'll do it next lesson. So y'all know. And we'll get started on putting the bases together and stuff. So this is already painted this real brown color, but I will probably be putting all kinds of grit paste and the Crypt grit paste over it. I'm sure I may put, I'm not sure if I'm going to put wallpaper on the side or if I'm going to do this cobblestone, possibly, which is one of those 3D folders, or the brick that I showed you. The graveyard itself is more dirt and grass, I'm thinking, so I probably won't use the brick or this, but I might use it on the side, or I might just texture it like I did. I think last year I just textured it, so we'll see. I'll play with that when we get to it. Well, hopefully it was enough. Excuse my yawning. Goodness. I had to babysit today. Barely got myself out of bed. But let's see if that texture paste has started drying yet. I'm curious if how much got dry. All right, don't knock everything. It's tacked over. So it's basically took that long to dry to the touch, but it's not completely dry. It needs to sit like overnight. And then we'll paint that next time. We'll get to work on that. Okay, guys? So that is our lesson for tonight. I will be back on Wednesday, we're going to be working on the journal, and y'all unfortunately won't see this again until next Monday probably, unless I throw another day in there. Don't think I'm gonna. I think I'm just gonna stick with Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I think that's enough for me. All right, y'all take care. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. I will see you next time.